Okay. So if you don't mind just giving the quick overview again really quickly.
Okay, sure. So this
Sorry.
is a second grade teacher created opinion writing assessment. And it says post because we created pre and post that follow the similar format, but have different sources. And the idea behind that was collecting the pre-assessment in order to see what students can already do in regards to opinion writing and use that data to then plan the actual opinion unit. So this is a post to see, okay, I set out to teach these 5 different writing elements. Let's see if the students are able to do that. So they would read these 3 sources independently. And I think the prompt has to do with students having an opinion on longer or a longer summer break or more shorter breaks throughout the school year. So source number 1 is from ReadWorks. And it's more of like bullet points of ideas of what students said about summer break. And then source number 2 is like a mini essay, giving some reasons for why summer break is good and why is it bad. And then source number 3 is like a call out from a Scholastic news. And there's 1 student in favor and 1 student not. Then there's a graphic organizer for a student to take their notes on both for and against. So they actually are instructed to do both and not just decide from the beginning, like, oh, I already know I'm for longer summer break, so I'm just going to fill out the left box. The idea is that you need to read all the sources to really form your educated opinion versus I have my opinion, let me go find the evidence that matches it. So then that might be like 1 or 2 days. And then the second part is the student, this is almost like a reading comprehension where they are connecting the source to a certain statement. And this is mirrored from the performance task on Smarter Balance. So summer gets boring. Oh, I remember reading about that in source number 2. So I would check this. And then what is 1 reason summer break may be good for students? Give 2 reasons to support your answer. And they're given some frames here. Whereas if you were to look at 3rd, 4th, and above, there's no frames. So a student would say source number 2 says blank, and source number 1 I also learned in source blank, blah, 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 give them the reasons. And then what is 1 reason summer break may be bad for students? So similar format, just a different prompt. Okay, now comes the actual performance task. So it gives the assignment and the student has to decide whether they agree with the summer break or smaller breaks throughout the year. It gives them an editing checklist and a revising checklist to use after they write. And then here's another graphic organizer. So I'm going to put my opinion here and then an organized way for my 3 reasons and example. And then here's where they actually write it out. So you can see that that's like a about 3-day process. And at this point, it's meant to be pretty independent. And this is a 2nd grader. And the opinion unit tends to be towards the end of 2nd grade. Yeah. I'm gonna stop sharing. Questions that you have for me?
So I guess the first is there a specific, was this based on the 3rd grade opinion and you backwards matched basically?
Mm-hmm.
How does the pre-assessment look different than the post?
Yes, that is a good question. I think we had some conversations even about, should it be the exact same sources, I mean, the exact same assessment, or should it be 3 different sources, basically the same format, but different sources and a different prompt. And I want to say we ended up going with a different source. So let me show you. Okay, so here's the 2nd grade opinion writing pre-assessment. This prompt is about pets. So source number 1 is a short text about if cats or dogs are a better pet, from Scholastic. Look at how much text is in here. It's a lot of reading for a 2nd grader. Source number 2, cats versus dogs, why cats make better pets than dogs. This is pretty heavy in favor of cats. And then the 2nd part, why dogs make good pets. So this one only has 2 sources, and still there's a place for graphic organizer, but this one is organized a little bit differently. So this one has my notes from source 1, my notes from source 2. Then it has a compare and contrast where I would, as the student, write, here's my ideas about why cats are good pets, dogs, and then both. Here's those same questions, going back to the sources. The 2 questions about which source gives more information about cats and dogs and give 2 reasons to support your answer. These are more source-based. And then you need to convince your parents to even get you a pet. What would you say? And then here's the main performance task, like the editing checklist, the revising checklist, the organization of them committing to a dog or a cat, and then there's 3 reasons in their examples, and then the lines. So ideally, this would be a pre-assessment. The teacher would read through all of these, take in that data, write down common patterns that the teacher is seeing that come out of their writing, and then plan her opinion writing unit around those needs, and then give that post-assessment that we just looked at.
In what format do students complete the assessment?
Paper. 2nd grade is paper. When they start to get to like 4th and 5th grade, they're typing, and all of this is shared like in a Google Doc. I think 3rd grade might do paper the first go around, and then the 2nd and 3rd, they're online too, to give students the typing fluency.
And in which grades do you give these types of assessments?
Kindergarten through 6th, I want to say.
And would you like to, if you shared those specific ones with me, those documents, would you want feedback on just that, or would you like an overall, I mean, if there were more examples or some specific, I guess, models based on that?
We do have, I'm pretty sure we have a pre and a post for all grades K6 in each text type. I'd have to go through and look in these folders, but I'm pretty sure that you would see that same format: kindergarten informative, kindergarten narrative pre-post, kindergarten opinion pre-post. So I don't know if it's necessary to look at every single one, but just I like the idea of looking at K2 because there is no K2 CASC that we're able to exactly mirror it on. And so the teachers are taking the liberty of knowing that grade level and scaling it back to what they think their students would be able to do and what kinds of graphic organizers, scaffolds they would need. So you can see in that one, that was the teachers providing those sentence frames in an effort to, okay, the kids are going to be all on their own doing this independently. How can I help get them started? So is it, I mean, there's lots of questions, but one of them is that too much? Are we really getting an authentic view of what the students can do in writing if we're giving them those sentence frames?
So is that too much scaffolding and support?
I have questions about the actual text. I'm pretty sure in kinder and first, the teacher reads the text to the students. I mean, they have to. When I look at the sources for kindergarten, they do have more visuals, but I don't think most kindergartners could read this on their own. And then there's a place for notes. So I'm assuming a lot of that is done whole group or facilitated in a small group with maybe some teacher prompting of, okay, which pet would be the best? You have to choose either a cat or a dog. And it's okay if Melissa chooses a dog and Valentina sitting next to her chooses a cat. And then there's a place for them to like draw a picture, and then there's some elementary type dashed lines. But the directions are similar. Use information and details from the sources as you tell your opinion.
And then would it be most helpful for feedback on opinion, narrative, or information? Which do you think is the greatest struggle?
I think opinion argument, there's just so many different elements that go into that, teaching that. And there's even conversations around the language of reasons, examples, explanations that teachers even go back and forth with how to teach kids, how to even talk about those.
And then I have the teachers would have time between 12 and 2:15 for some feedback, because the idea is that folks would work on this and then be able to give feedback live if at all possible to talk with teachers. I think this is really good, and I think that will work well. I'll stop the recording.
Okay.